Hey everybody, I'm Chad Eckert and that's Joe Idone, and this is the Preferred Lines podcast where we broadcast each and every Monday evening live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. We like to get together, chat the betting board, crack a beer.
I'm already cracked. It's Tuesday, by the way, too, buddy, but it was a long weekend. We're all right.
Good Lord. Oh, I was supposed to be doing this yesterday, but, we had the holiday, the Memorial Day Memorial Tournament. If you're in the chat, say hello. Huntman10 is here. I'm pouring my beer out, or I'd show your comment on the screen. I can do those kinds of things.
What up, man?
We have some shout-outs to give, actually. I can do it now. Hey, what's up, man? Shout-outs to our guy. Well, first and foremost, our friend, Chris Jagerbaum Durrell. That guy has a great spreadsheet. It is on the Patreon, and it is cheap. It is not expensive by any means, and it's very helpful. So we love Chris.
Chris is the man.
Chris Durrell, Jagerbaum _9. George Z, 3 putts for par, of course, the man there. I would like to give a shout-out to my dad, Mike. Probably watching on the replay, maybe. Always chatting in there. Mike Eckert. And the normal usuals, Jesse and Stewie and Charlie and Josh and Brian and D Flowers and PJ Tout and the tour junkies and Andy and Coach and Luke and all the names and all the friends, but the friends that we have over at Jock Market, Dave and the other guy, they're friends of ours. And because the app that they have is awesome, Jock Market on your phone, download it from the App Store. It's awesome.
Yeah, PL20 is the promo code. PL20 is live, by the way, too. I did confirm. So $20 in your first deposit. Have you not deposited yet? They are legal now in 35 different states. It is so interestingly, Rick made it public. I do the show on Wednesday nights with Rick. So he made public basically where you can download all of the data from every PGA market they've been in.
Cool.
I went through the different dollar ranges real quickly, Chad. Pretty much every single one of them is plus money in terms of had you bet every single player within that dollar range, you are up, which is insane to think about, that there's really no real losing range at all. So it is, I would say, without a doubt, you're getting the most bang for your buck in terms of potential return in that app. So we love those guys over there. Proud to support them. PL20, $20 free, first deposit. Our buddies at Jock Market. Also, can I while we're giving shout outs, quick shout out to my guy Nelson Adcock. So he is Cut Sweats on Twitter. He has released a new website and he is giving people 50% off their first month trial. So awesome app that he built. We've all been following it for a while. So if you want to learn more about that, just hit me up. But great dude, supported the DFS Open. We played golf with him. Really good player, actually, as well. So happy to support everything that he does as well.
Yeah, when he's not breaking his hand one wheeling down some mountain. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, Jock Market's the best. You can choose your level of risk, or you can go and play in the NBA too. There's different things for the NBA. They have kind of like per game. You got early slates, late slates, stuff like that. I noticed. Just golf. But anyway, you can do basketball on that app. Let's get going. Let's try to get these things going quicker in 2021 summer. We're going right back to the betting board. And, this is the Memorial. It is a big tournament. It is a big field. There's a little bit of a lull. Next week is a random event, the new event on tour. It's in South Carolina, something like that. But then it's the U.S. Open. So we're excited. We're going to get into it right away. Crack the beer. Now, we were getting some shit online that we only drink Coors Light, which is partially true. But I got a serious, Surly Furious IPA here. I'm going to get a little tipsy. We'll crack the beers.
Me and Huntman went with the Konas tonight. Golden Ale. I don't drink Coors Light. Come on, boys. IPA season usually, or a good golden ale. So, Kona tonight. Went with Vibin's Funky Buddha brewery down here in Florida. That was the beer of choice yesterday. Vibin. Good time. Good time. Let's get into it, buddy.
Straight Vibin, Daniel Berger.
Yeah.
Let's get to the betting board. Shut up, everybody. Just get to the top of the betting board. Let me hear your opinions. At the tippity-tip top is the defending champion, Jon Rahm. We were on him last year, or at least I was. I was on the 18-1 Jon Rahm ticket that cashed, but I will not be having an 11.5-1. Are you going to go with the defending champion, Jon Rahm? Tour picks, Joe Idone, or should we just go watch your video on Twitter, on your Tour Picks Twitter page, where you have another guy at the top of the board? You have Justin Thomas.
Yeah, funny enough, he actually wasn't at the top of the board this morning. I know this is DraftKings Sportsbook. I was looking at a different book. He was like 6th on the odds board. So 16-1. I think you said you got an 18, which I'm a little bit jealous of. But look, I wanted to do a little bit of I sometimes I feel like I overanalyze things to a degree. And one of the first guests that we had on, Mike Miller, was just like, it's about who wins. It's not about strokes gained approach. It's not about all this other stuff. It's about win rates and win probabilities. So he wins as much as anybody, except for maybe you could make the argument Dustin Johnson. But he's won 12 of his last 96 events. He's basically winning 1 in every 8 times that he tees it up. It's unbelievable. Hasn't done so since the Players back in March. So at that rate, he's probably pretty much due right now. And he's coming back to a place where I think he feels maybe a little added motivation that he should have won last year, right? By almost every stretch of the imagination, when he makes that putt, the 45-footer sweeping, he wins that tournament almost every time. I've seen a lot of people make the argument that had fans been there, that thing was over, right? That place would have gone bananas. But it's JT, right? Great approach player, number 2 player in the world. Winning at a 13% clip. So I am definitely going to push the majority of my chips on Justin Thomas this week at the Memorial.
Now, you mentioned Mike Miller and what he does. He kind of just looks at the winners. He looks at the recent form. You do kind of want to look at recent form. You do kind of want to look at historically good player, course history, stuff like that overall. That all factors into it. We know, though, Joe, that they put those numbers out to try to get the public to bet. They're not there to pick the golfers that are going to win. I mean, they don't want to. I mean, they're not going to be stupid with their odds, but at the same time, they're just trying to entice someone to bet, or they know someone wants to bet on someone, a name. So then the books make it a different number. Well, this is obvious stuff, but Mike Miller wants you to know and wants you to remember that. And you need to remember when a guy like Justin Thomas, who has just as good of a chance as anybody else, slips down the board a little bit, has that perception of from the public, which we know the public is bad at predicting athlete performance. Maybe you go towards a name like JT or even Rory or the names that are at the 20. Let's go back to this betting board. Let's look at the other names because there's other names to consider that have kind of fallen because this is a juicy field. We have a weird name after Jon Rahm in between Justin Thomas right there. Victor Hovland is at 15-1. Now Rory here at 16.5-1. You got Colin Morikawa, who was the guy that upset Justin Thomas. I believe it was the work day for that one. Now Xander 16.5 with Spieth right there, and then Cantlay, Bryson. So is this the case of a week where the book isn't sure? And so they just kind of throw names out because I've seen different names at different books. And if you have the option to shop around, I mean, don't you just go where the book allows you to go kind of thing?
Look, yes, I think to some degree what you're going to want to do is we try, right, to think, and the way to think about it is to bet the number, not the player. But ultimately, you have to believe in that player's ability to win at a given number. I've seen this thing totally shuffled around. I would agree. But ultimately, if you like the guy, you only have one book, I would say you should bet him. Look, Thomas, like I said, is winning 1 out of every 8 tournaments, and he's 16-1. So he's basically double what his current win rate is, which I love. He's the top-ranked player in the field this week. Hovland, I get it, right? He's great. Yeah. He hasn't won at a rate that he probably would deem acceptable at this point. Rory was in a big lapse. I think Bryson is putting is all over the place. Xander seems to be kind of at at a tipping point here where if he doesn't win soon, we're going to start seeing 25 and 30 to ones, I believe. It's just been that long, but he's so consistent and such a lock, it feels like, for a top 10. He's always going to be priced around that range. And like there, even seeing Spieth at those long odds with how good he played last week, I think that had you flip those rounds around, right, and he had his Sunday day on Thursday and then played back-to-back great rounds, he'd be at the top of the board this week. So,
sure.
Yeah, a lot of names, a lot of things to consider there for myself. When I looked at the numbers, when I looked at kind of what I'm trying to isolate this week, was an easy decision for me to go Justin Thomas at the top, and I feel pretty good about his chances this week.
Okay, let's talk about Muirfield Village. The golf course that they're playing at this week it's changed. We recall when they played the last group at Memorial last year, they're already like got bulldozers out immediately as they putted out goodbye green, and they ripped it all up. Now that will make a difference. And I'm not a professional golfer, and I don't play brand new courses very often, but I know from experience watching golf that if it's a new green, it is typically harder, and therefore they can't land the ball as easily. Some of these holes have been adjusted and changed, and there's been differences. Does now that favor a guy like Hovland who's not used to it, or a guy like, maybe even Morikawa, where, he saw it these guys that have saw it for the first time, didn't really bother him, saw it again, see a new thing all the time on tour. Should we go towards the new guys, or are we going to really lean the veterans? Because isn't this a veteran favored course?
It is a veteran favored course. Yes, that I would agree with. I think that there are going to be some nuances in terms of the new design that people aren't used to. That said, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like, I listened to Xander's presser earlier today, and he was like, I really don't have anything ingrained over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been here that I'm going to pull from my memory bank when I'm over a putt to think, hey, last year when and I feel like that's hard, right? That's got to be difficult. I mean, I play the same course every week, and I don't remember how any of the putts break. So I feel like that's difficult. Even if you're there for 10 years, you're still gonna look at your book. You're still gonna look at what you saw in the practice rounds, and you're gonna draw on that recent memory, not a putt that you had 8 years ago, right? But at the same token, I do think that they added a little bit of length. I think that I think it was like 16 and 17 last year, which just got kind of out of control and a bit unfair to a degree, and got some, negative pub from the players. So I think Jack wanted to kind of reduce some of those slopes on the green. You're right. Typically it's going to play very firm, but given how firm it played last year, I think that they're going to soften it up as much as they possibly can, because the whole reason for the redo, I think, was because it got too firm and out of hand. So I think they're really going to sort of rein it in. That said, always a difficult course. I wouldn't expect anything different this year.
Right. I mean, these guys will play it for a couple days in the practice rounds, get the feel of where they need to land the ball and maybe how hard it is in reality. And then by Saturday, Sunday, if they're really in contention, they're figuring this shit out on the fly. They're professional golfers. Let's go back to the board. This is fun board, Joe, because there's some names that we like to bet coming up, but there's some funky names here. Tony Finau is 22 to 1. You got Louis Oosthuizen, and he's also here at 22. Hideki, the Masters guy, 26. Corey Connors and Fitzpatrick. I mean, you're going into the 30s with Corey Connors at 26.5, 30 for Fitzpatrick. And then if you even go further, you got Neiman there and Scheffler too at 35. But there's a name that at 35 to 1 that I didn't add it up and do the math. But my feeling is that Patrick Reed at 35 to 1 has more wins combined than all of these other names, dude. So what is going on where we got Patrick Reed on a course where you need to have great around the green skill? That's what I'm told. He's 35 to 1, sandwiched between these names that never win.
Yeah, you make a great point. Sense. You make a very compelling point. He's the second guy on my card this week thus far.
Oh, cool.
35 to 1 on Reed. Look, unfazed. I'm unfazed by the miscut. Not worried in the slightest. I bet him off a miscut at the Farmers. He won. Not only did you mention like the around the green thing that I think Justin Ray tweeted about, which is a great plus for Patrick Reed. He's got a lot of other pluses working for him. Big time splits in terms of bent grass putting. We know how good of a putter he is. That's a big time advantage for him. And the more difficult the task at hand, the better suited he is in terms of strokes gained against the field. So difficult golf course, the average gaining a stroke on every player in the field. Normalize that a little bit, level it out, and it's like a half stroke. So he's almost twice as good and valuable the more difficult a course is. This is a place we've seen play that way a number of times. A lot of comparisons, I've seen from our guys to some of the green surfaces at Augusta and how Jack kind of wanted to convey that a little bit. Our guy PGA Tout and Andy were talking about it. So props to them. Look, Pat Reed, 35-1. You're right. He wins. I trust him to close. I trust him to win big events. Easy bet for me. And I've been on him the last 2 weeks. Like I'm not gonna jump ship now at a 35 on him at a course that I feel like sets up really well for him.
The best thing you can do as a golf betting person is to have amnesia, not total amnesia, but like slight amnesia, where you do see Patrick Reed make a bogey on the 18th hole, and it does anger you, and it does fuck your drafting lineup and whatever else, but you need to have amnesia, and you need to think about it in perspective. And no, Patrick Reed, he's pissed more than you're pissed. So guess what he's doing all weekend? He's grinding. He's figuring shit out. He's working. Maybe he's getting to Muirfield early. He's figured out the rock hard greens. He's loving it. He's having confidence, and we're going at 35-1 with Patrick Reed. That, my friends, may in fact be the house bet this week. You'll have to stay tuned. Follow me at Idone Realty, and I do a house bet. It's not a real mortgage payment. It is for fun. It is Wednesdays at noon, and it could happen, Stewie. Just stay tuned for that. Let's keep going, though. I mean, the names in this betting board are fun to say and to look at. Keegan and Horschel are there in the mid-40s. So, they've been playing good golf. And, I don't know. Do they win at a clip that's worth 45-1 in this field? I don't know. I didn't do it. But do you then do Sam Burns, who was second and then withdrew? And now he's here. I don't know. Or would you rather go at 50-1 Charlie Hoffman, who has the strong iron play?
So I took two guys in this range, both at 55-1. The first was a pretty good number that I got on Joaquin Neiman.
We know about Neiman for 50?
Yeah, Neiman for 55.
Wow, that's 35 on this.
I feel a little bit of fear and hesitancy in terms of a potential burnout spot for him, in that since his sixth place debut here, it hasn't been great. It's also the fifth consecutive tournament that he's played. And he's not missing cuts. We know that. So he's playing a lot of golf. Then I thought about, when you're playing so well like he is, I think you may practice less and grind at the range less, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So he doesn't feel the need that he's got to work something out in his swing on a Monday and Tuesday. He's just kind of going out there and playing golf and finishing well. Another big plus on the bent grass greens, approach play is phenomenal, right? 15 of the last 16 events he's played, he's gained strokes on approach. That's what I feel like is the number one correlated stat to success here, which leads me to my next pick, Charlie Hoffman.
Okay, before you get off Neiman, though, and go to Hoffman, because we love Hoffman. He's hot as hell. My problem with Neiman sometimes is I feel like he's got that teenage mentality where he kind of just coasts through 3 or 4 holes. And then all of a sudden, he'll have like 4 pars and a bogey, and then, he didn't make any progress. And all of a sudden, then he presses it, and then he gets out of it. He gets mad. He still needs to learn the grind of paying attention to every shot, because I feel like sometimes he just gets that autopilot because he's 22 or whatever he is. So that's kind of, sometimes I see that him with, more than I see, if it was Spieth, for example, because Spieth doesn't take a shot off, You're
right. I guess what I would say in terms of, I see your point, sort of the youthfulness and the way that he kind of approaches the game, maybe a little bit of a detriment to him in some aspects in terms of taking every shot, taking a shot off here and there, which could ultimately be the difference. What I'd say is we've seen guys who have been trending really have a breakthrough arrived win here at Memorial. We've seen Hideki do it. We saw Bryson do it. I'm losing track of some other guys, but we've seen a ton of guys just do it here. Patrick Cantlay had his big win here. So I feel like he's on that trajectory, right? It feels like he's ready to take the next step. And in order to become a national name or face, this is a spot that you need to come and win. And I think that he can get it done.
So Charlie, what about Hoffman? Yeah.
Dude, it's approach play. It's
amazing.
Freaking believable.
How is he so good?
Not only the last 3 rounds, like his irons are off the charts right now altogether. I did our friends at Fantasy National over there, Moose, has a tool where you can do what's called a rolling report, which basically you will isolate a stat and it will show you trends, right? Are they trending up? Are they trending down? How have they done their last 4 rounds? So these are Charlie Hoffman's, and I actually wrote these down because this is how insane this is. Rolling report on Charlie Hoffman's approach play. His last 4 rounds, which would essentially just be last tournament, 4th in approach. If you go last 8 rounds, he's 1st. If you go last 12 rounds, he's 1st. If you go last 24 rounds, he's 2nd. If you go last 50 rounds played, he's 3rd. If you go last 100, he's 6th. So it's not even like an upward trend. He's just been a stud basically for his last 100 rounds with the approach play. Didn't get the invite here last year, I don't believe. So it's been a couple years since he played it. However, he did play in the workday version last year where he finished 7th. So while it's been a couple years since he played in the actual Memorial, he did play in the workday. Unbelievable.
Let me just take you behind the curtain now. Moose won't care if I show you this real quick because you want to sign up for this website. If you haven't signed up for it, what are you thinking about? Go do that. There's promo codes out there, /Mayo or whatever. Dude, look at this. His approach play, you can see, like you were saying, kind of the rolling stats. They have this average here, last 5, last 10, last 20, like 2.8, 4.5. I mean, he's just sniping it with the irons. And if you want to even look just at a quick snapshot of his strokes gained stats, this is where we go. We look at fantasynational.com. We get a subscription to this website, and then we're given these stats. And these are taken from the PGA Tour. They're real stats. Just conveniently put together here with green and pink and all that stuff. And there's not a lot of pink. There is, though, Joe, a tiny bit of pink in that around the green that we want this week. Are we nervous about that?
Well, I've kind of found, and this is weird, but I talked to Rick about this one time, that around the green and approach play, there's some sort of, and I don't know how everything is calculated, but there's some sort of correlation there where guys who are really good at approach, their numbers don't show up really good on around the green game. And I don't necessarily know why it is. I have some theories, but I don't know for sure. And vice versa. Guys who will show up really good around the green are not great iron players. Like, for instance, like if you look at around the green, usually you will get like Wyndham Clark in the top like 5. You'll get Ricky up there. That's because their irons have sucked. Right? Both of them have been really bad. So it's like almost like if your irons are a little bit off, maybe you're leaving yourself in like good spots to get up and down from, which when you go down in one brings another up. I don't know exactly, but I have some theories on it. That said, if you're not going to need your around the green game if you're hitting every green and gaining 7 point whatever on approach like he has his last 3. Hoffman 55-1, Neiman 55-1. Those are my 2 mid-range pulls so far.
Cool. All right. Now, let's go back to the betting board. Let's take a look at the names that you were saying. These names that are above 55-1, they are breakthrough potential spots here. Now, it could look like maybe God, I'm not going to go past Ricky Fowler, even though it's not a breakthrough, but it could be kind of a breakthrough for Ricky Fowler to win here. Do you have any faith in Ricky Fowler winning? He's already back down to 60-1. We've seen this. It's been a yo-yo up and down.
I don't think he's ready to win yet. I want to see him trending. That said, good spot for him. Played great.
Well, it would be great for the tour,
Yeah, but
good story.
Yeah, I hear you. What are his? If he wasn't Ricky Fowler and his name was Dickie Howler, he'd be 100-1. If you just looked at his stats.
Yeah, for sure. They'd be like, "Wow, look at it." He'd be Sam Ryder, pretty much.
Yeah, not on Ricky, not just yet. That is a astonishingly large number on Sung JM that I would 100% take at 70-1.
My baby boy.
Yeah,
I love them so much.
I don't have it, but if you've got DraftKings Sportsbook, that's going to be tough to pick.
Well, I found a 70 somewhere else, actually.
Okay.
I don't have access to DraftKings Sportsbook, but of course, you got to take a little flyer on the Sung Jae Im guy. We know it's Summer of Sung Jae. It hasn't started yet, potentially. It's now June, though. So maybe Summer of Sung Jae is just about to start. This is where it gets interesting, Joe, and I wanted to get your opinion when I was writing this stuff down. There's some veterans at this level. We got Woodland at 60, but the names are Jason Day and Adam Scott. They're at 75-1. It's tempting to say these are good bets. I think they're possibly good bets, Joe. Am I an idiot for thinking that? Because doesn't Scott enjoy it here? And isn't Jason Day from Ohio?
Yeah, both of them, I think, really enjoy it here and have a great track record here and should set up nicely if they weren't just in shitty form.
Hideous.
But I think that's built in. That's built into the price, right?
They would be 30s for sure.
They'd be 30, 40-1. So, yeah, I think that if you are into them, yeah, take a shot.
Let me ask you,
I'm not betting
Joe,
either one of them.
Would you be surprised if Adam Scott or Jason Day won this tournament?
Yes.
You would?
I would.
More surprised than Phil winning the PGA?
No.
Yeah, but it wouldn't even be that surprising. So, for sure, it could happen.
It could happen. Anything could happen, right? Anything could happen. We know that. But I like the chances of someone like Neiman or Hoffman, the way that they're playing so much better than I like either of these two guys. And you're just kind of betting on past pedigree versus current, how they're playing right now.
Now, top 10, I wouldn't be surprised because I totally would be surprised if they won. I would
pick one. Like, who would you pick if you had to pick one?
Adam Scott.
Okay. Why?
I feel like he's the one that will show up to this type of an event ready to play and almost prepare for the Memorial like it's the U.S. Open in 2 weeks. So he's doing this as a dress rehearsal. These dudes do this. You think, I haven't seen Adam Scott in months. I don't trust his putter. But we don't know anything about these people. We don't know where they've been, how they've been practicing, how they've been playing. That's part of the mystery of golf. Not only could we know things about someone and then have, like Phil, and be surprised as hell, or know nothing about somebody and have someone show up and be surprised as hell. So, again, this is golf, people.
Yeah. I'd take Scott, too, for the record, if I had to pick one.
Because, now, Jason Day with the Ohio narrative thing that we've tried to make happen for years now here. I don't know if
I think fourth last year, though.
Okay.
In not great form. I could be wrong about that, but I think he finished top 5 last year.
Perfect. So that's an example of let's do this on DraftKings or buy these names on, Jock Market if you can get a good deal on them. But we don't have any expectations. There's no high hopes for these names. Can we find some names that have high hopes? What about 85-1 Stu Cink? Isn't he better than we think?
I like your style.
Come on. He's the bomber. Now, was it who? I don't remember. I think the Tour Junkies interviewed caddies or someone told them that it's changed a little bit. And so it's less of a bomber focused or used to be able to you have to be a bomber. Now it's more ball striking focused. That is what I kind of. But so then
Jack
maybe that doesn't
kind of. I don't remember what they were, and I should probably look it up before I even mention it and put myself in a hole here. But I'll do it because it's what we do.
There's 7 people watching.
He made comments last year that I think were not anti-Bryson, but anti this movement at this tournament and at the Honda, which is another big one that he sponsors, where he didn't like this idea of essentially just cutting corners on all golf courses and not playing them the way that they were intended to be played by the architect. He is the architect. So I think that that's part of the reason that motivated him to make a lot of these changes was seeing I think it was, I'm getting my holes mixed up, but I think it may have been number 9 where Bryson was all the way down the hill where you can catch some of those slopes and hit 400-yard drives. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he loved that. So I felt like he took some satisfaction in seeing Bryson struggle last year and just knowing that, look, when he turned himself into a total bomber, he was terrible. When he was an iron player and he was all about his approach game, he won. So I think that may have been some motivation for Jack here to kind of take away some of the just bomb and gouge advantage and make it more of a second shot golf course, I think was the intention here.
So then Stewart Cink's out this week?
No, that really had nothing to do with Stewart Cink. That was just a general point, but
I'm not betting him. He's relying more on his driver than anything lately. I don't know anything about it. Now, our guy, Eric Patterson, EPAC Golf on Twitter, he's mentioned that the Amex has a potential correlated course event that correlates to here. Siwoo, he won the Amex Series 85-1. Any interest in Siwoo?
No. Okay. No, not for me this week. Siwoo's kind of, what's his course history like? Siwoo's got his spots. Let me see it here. I will pull it up right now. So 18th last year, 41st, 29th, withdraw.
Are you looking at Chris Durrell's Jagerbaum's sheet? Because that's on there.
Yeah, it's on there. But the withdraw, that's funny because didn't he withdraw last week?
Yeah, he withdraws all the time.
If he's not playing well, he's just out. Siwoo out.
Yeah. We go home.
Yeah, Siwoo go home. Yeah, the strokes gain numbers aren't great. I'm just not going to take Siwoo. I did take two guys in the bomb range, 100-1 plus, but just kind of put lower end bets on those. I'm looking to add one.
Tringali?
Nope, not Tringali. Take a guess who.
Well, let's see. Who does Joe like to bet on these days? I know you like Cameron Davis. Where's his number?
It's not
175-1. Because he was third at the Amex, Cameron Davis. I don't know. Who would you bet here? Did you bet?
Okay, so hold on a second. Let me see. All right. So I got a good.
You're hard to pin down. You don't really have a brand, Joe, other than.
So I got 110-1 on a guy that's not really part of my brand, but it's Russell Henley. So
wow,
I like
110-1 on Henley. Damn, dude,
love
he's 70
Henley on some Nicklaus courses. I'm a sucker for that narrative, big time.
Okay.
Then I saw Ben Coley's article, which was
Did he talk him up?
Maybe our first ever guest on Preferred Lines was Coley.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he was our debutante guest, Mr. Ben Cooley. He writes a great piece. He talked up Russell Henley. He made a point in that 8 top 10s in the last year for Henley, which is pretty solid. And 5 of those top 10s have been on Nicklaus designed courses. 7th at the Workday last year. He has fallen victim in a couple of consecutive events to a horseshit opening round. So at the PGA Championship, I think Coley said he was like 137 after day one, clawed himself inside the cut line on the second day, played all right on the weekend. Same thing last week, started off like 122, clawed his way back inside the cut line. The approach play is what really tipped me off to them. 71 there. There's 100 pluses out there. And the other one is Taylor Gooch. 150 to 1.
Tour Junkies was on Henley. I remember hearing that. But you like the Gucci gang?
Yeah, Gucci
but
gang.
They'll never show them on TV.
150 to 1, big number. 4.6 on approach last week. I think that he's just better than those guys around him, and he's playing better. I'm willing to overlook course history when you're playing. All right, so this is a point here.
Wasn't he like
I can overlook course history when you're playing the best golf that you've ever played. So he is playing in his career best form right now. So in situations like this, and there isn't a whole lot of guys who are playing the best they've ever played in their career, you can overlook course history a little bit more because he wasn't playing very well going into those last events. And this is the type of course where if you weren't playing well heading into it, it's going to eat you up. When you're in full control of your game and playing the best you've ever played, it's a place you want to go to. 150 to 1 on Gooch, I feel like it's a big number. Good spot for a top 20 bet on him.
Look at this on Fantasy National from last year. Okay, again, if you have fantasynational.com access to this website, you can go and you can do this research. You can look back. This man at the Workday was awesome. Was gaining on tee to green, was gaining on approach. Then the next week, he lost it.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. Plus 7 and minus 5, right?
Oh, he's so pissed. I bet he's pissed. I bet he comes out playing better.
Right.
This is Taylor Gooch. My God, he's pretty good. got a lot of green going on.
Yeah,
Gucci gang. We do like Taylor Gooch. Who else do we like? Where is my names? I have a few more names. I have Tringali at 85-1. I was going to ask you about Wallace, Matt Wallace. Can he do well here? Because this is supposed to be now, but maybe it favors Euros if it's hard and firm and fast and all that things. It's that Wallace.
T4 as a debut in his debut here last year. So great performance, great form. There's good cause to bet Wallace. So
apparently he's maybe not played his irons as well lately. So maybe his candle burnt out. We try to say sometimes.
Well, I think Kiowa if you're just looking at stats from Kiowa a couple weeks ago, I think that can do that to a lot of people and really distorted a lot of higher play because that place was so hard. And you could be playing really well and just lose it all on one hole. But I can see Wallace. I just went elsewhere. But 90, 100
Pat and Kazire. People have been talking about Pat and Kazire playing better golf lately.
Not here for me.
Okay. Wise? Aaron Wise?
No.
Okay. Sometimes bombs it out there. Oh, God. Who did I like? I liked Wyndham Clark. Where is he? He's 225-1. And then Dylan Fratelli, too. These guys have been known to have a couple good rounds in a row in their lives.
I feel like this event is going to come in the 20 to 30 range.
Totally. What are we doing here? You should just talk about the top of the range.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to add. I'm gonna add one more, somewhere in between like Cantlay, Schauffele, and Finau range. I don't know who, but those are the guys I'm going to continue to kind of take in as much information as I can and pull the trigger on one of those guys. If you have a suggestion for me, drop it in the chat because I don't know who else to take.
Okay, we got a couple chat questions. First one's from Huntman. It says Victor's got to be due for a win at a big tournament, right? And like you were mentioning with Neiman, maybe it could be Hovland who comes out and wins the Memorial big tournament.
Yeah, it's tough though because it wouldn't really feel the same as Neiman to me. Like the guy's second on the odds board this week. So like had he win, yes, it's monumental in terms of a career benchmark victory. But in terms of sort of a breakthrough, I want to see like a guy in like at least 50-1, like right that we've seen coming, that we've seen the form there, and they just aren't priced the way that they should be, because they haven't won a big event yet. So that's why I think that Neiman at 55 makes so much more sense.
Joe, you're a DraftKings player. We play DraftKings. I do a fantasy golf podcast about DraftKings. Do you have any interest in eating the Kyle Stanley chalk this week, or would you bet Kyle Stanley?
No way. All right.
You don't even care if he's chalk, but if you liked him at 61.
So here's my thing with chalk. I do care if they're like shitty and chalk.
You mean
like if Justin Thomas,
Kyle Stanley?
If JT is 35% this week, I don't care. I'm still gonna take it. But if Kyle Stanley is like 15, I'll go elsewhere happily.
Yeah, you'll play the odds on that one. That's typically a good idea. Man, one more question from him. Who would you guys pick this week if odds weren't in consideration? Which is a great question because sometimes I just pick names because of their number, like Patrick Reed at 35, and you look at the names, you're like, oh, thank you. And then same with JT kind of thing. Is this kind of like a one and done question a little bit more or less?
It's like if odds weren't part of it, it'd be hard for me to kind of ignore Rahm just because of how like good he plays on hard courses and obviously winning here last year. But I still think I'm going to say Justin Thomas. Like I like
might
him for a
actually
reason. That's my guy. What about you?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, part of it is you do kind of know at the top of the board they're all about as good, and so the 18, 16, it doesn't actually really move me in one way or the other. Like I'll just be happy that I got an 18 versus a 14. Or if I think the 14 is going to win and I don't think the 18 is going to win, I just ignore the whole thing altogether up top.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now, because of the odds involved and because of the money you could make off of a name in the mid 30s that wins a lot, that's why you like AP BPR. Always bet Patrick Reed. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Joe, we do futures. You and I. We are a futures betting promoter podcast. Do you have any futures yet on the U.S. Open? It's in 2 weeks.
I do.
What do you have?
So I have. I'm gonna have to pull this up, but
because
I think
Joe,
I have.
Now, typically, you and I we bet a ton of shit over the winter on the Masters because we're excited for April. We're in our houses. It's cold. We can't play golf. Well, I live in Minnesota and it's cold. I don't know about you in Florida, jackass. But anyway, we like to just go all in on the Masters, and we typically have like hundreds of dollars ahead of the Masters. And then, like, as this is like the U.S. Open mid-June, I only have a couple things in.
I know, me too. So one of the things is like weird, Chad, because it's like this season, I think that it's been like this running long super season has kind of thrown a wrinkle in my futures because it didn't feel like we had a definitive like Super Bowl and then off season and then rego where I can kind of assess it all over the winter.
Totally.
Two, everything's so close together, which is throwing it all off. Like, I don't know if anyone in the chat has any knowledge of this, but I wonder if this is going to be a permanent mainstay on the tour where basically from April to July is 30 days and the next major is going like 1 month, a major every month. Or is this the product of super season times Ryder Cup year times Olympic year? Is that why everything is so close together? Or I don't know, but that's why
you'd think ideally they'd like at least 6 weeks between the majors, right?
Yeah.
Can we spread it out like that somehow?
All right. So my future bets I have at the U.S. Open, Gary Woodland.
Okay. Would you get that?
Did I bet a long time ago? I just want to confirm the number here, but I believe it's 125 to 1.
Okay.
Yes, 125 to 1 Gary Woodland that I placed January 19th. So I like the fact that he was going, U.S. Open aspect in California. He obviously won the U.S. Open at Pebble, was just kind of banking on his upside as a player. And like January, if you remember, felt like kind of like a low point for Woodland. Everything seemed to
we thought he was hurt. He was like skinny.
And I was just kind of thinking that might be a good buy low spot should he find some form. And you know what? He has found some form. So he has kind of turned it around.
There you go. That's why you do.
The other one I have was actually courtesy of PGA Tao John, who was in the chat. I don't know if he's really even in the field, but I have Keegan at 250 to 1.
Wow.
So I don't know. It was like a situation where he needed to pile up some good wins to actually get in the field. I'm not sure that he did that. Like he had the second with Burns, but I don't know if that was enough. But that just felt like a huge number. Should he get in the field? I put like $10 on it. 250 to 1. Why not? And then I have Phil. I actually took Phil. I set you last week back in December when we were talking to win the British Open, to win the Open Championship.
That's funny.
Idiot.
Instead of the PGA. Because who would have thought, right?
He's number 72 now, needs to get to 60. Okay, so we need a monster week here at a Keegan. We need like a top 5, and we're in.
Oh, my God. I just realized I just looked at the open bets I have at the U.S. Open. Oh, God. I have 4 open bets. Okay, I got a Xander bet at 16 to 1. I did this in December like an idiot, apparently. But
okay. That's probably,
I thought Xander might win coming out the gate.
You're not going to get a lot of line value there. It's probably going to be like 18.
It's going to be worse than that, yeah, for sure. But he was going to play at Torrey Pines and blah, blah, blah. So I went and got that. Oh, guess what? Also, I have a $5 bet on a Ricky Fowler.
Oh no! What'd you get that? Like 80 to 1?
Oh, I made this December 15th. This is 50 to 1. I thought that was a good idea.
Ooh.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, I have a Matt Wolf 50 to 1. Is he even alive?
This is just a bloodbath.
That was a bad idea. Oh, I have a Cameron Champ 100 to 1 for $3.
Okay, those are 4 bad bets.
I can burn those in half. Crap. Not as fun as Whatever. That's why you sometimes swing and you miss on future betting in December 15th when you're cold and it's winter break, whatever. This is a fun segment. Yes, thanks, Mike Eckert, Dad. Appreciate you being here. But anyway, you guys are awesome. Like and subscribe, rate and review. You can go to Jock Market and you can download that, and that promo code PL20, if you first depositing, will get you $20 back. And then you can use that money. You can watch Joe and Rick talk on Wednesday evenings. That's tomorrow at about this time. A little bit before this time. And as the IPO closes, they discuss the names and how things are going. And it's kind of fun to just make sure you're aware of the pulse of the Jock Market for PGA every week. Yeah, and if you need to know who's owned for DraftKings, the ownership projection show I do is each Wednesday morning on the Fantasy Golf Pod YouTube page. That's about all we got, right?
That's all, man. I will, anyone who stops by for the Jock Market show, I will see you guys tomorrow. If you don't, appreciate you stopping by tonight. Cheers. Best of luck at the Memorial.
Retweet, tweet, like, and subscribe. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
see you, Stewie.
Charlie, Mike. See you guys.
Peace.